And we are live. Sorry we're a little late, folks. We had a change, had a new relief, have a relief pitcher in for today. Jesse's going to be on the show, so we're going to get started. Let me start the audio. Well, hey, everyone. It's time for Geocache Talk. Whether you're at work, in the car, or wherever you are, we hope you enjoy the show. Please give it a like and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play so that you can get all the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. Big thanks to the Travel Bugs for the music and my patrons, Doug Jones, Joshua and Caleb Slinkard, Tom Brotherman, and Jeff Arbaugh. If you'd like to become a patron, head on over to patreon.com/geocachetalk. For more details, patrons get path tags, which should be here this week, by the way. I'm seeing that it should be here hopefully tomorrow, and I hope they look good. We're waiting to see. It looked good, but in real life, when they come in, we'll have to take a look at them, but I think they're going to be good. Then later on, we're going to do coins, other geocaching swag during the year, as well as invites to special events, which we're scheduling one very soon. It's only for patrons. Support levels start at as little as $3 a month. Tonight we have some news from geocaching.com. We have a weekly product tip. Let's just jump right into show number 11 for August 21st. Let me see if I get this right now. Okay, show 11. As I welcome my friend Jesse Lunsford, aka Memfis Mafia. Jesse, thanks for joining the show tonight.
Happy to be on.
Appreciate it. Jesse's a good friend if he is willing to be on the show about 5 minutes ago. So I do appreciate you stepping in. And Chris couldn't make it. Not sure why yet, but we'll find out later. Have him on some other time. Geocaching News is sponsored by FTF Magazine. FTF Magazine can be found at ftfgeocacher.com. And there's a couple things in here, and Jesse, definitely chime in as we talk about these. The first one was, I guess, a conclusion to the duck race, which was ended with an event yesterday. We had an event. It was raining, torrential rains here in Greenville, which made it kind of funny. We had a duck race event, but everybody got together. Everybody had a good time. We kind of scattered after that for the rains coming in, but we at least had the event. Did you happen to go to an event yesterday, or did you have an event? You do a lot of events.
We do host a lot of events. We didn't go to one this year, and we didn't host one either. This is also our anniversary weekend, so
yes,
that kind of trumps it. So we went to a little mountain town here in Colorado, and there was no geocaching events close by, and we didn't really want to spend the time doing that. We did a good hike, but we didn't do any events. So we sent our little duck racer out there, but I don't even know if it made it to an event. I haven't checked. We just got in the door about an hour ago, so. Okay,
yeah, no problem. Yeah, we'll talk about a little bit about your weekend, because it really was cool. I loved your little photo you put up on Twitter and everything. So that was neat. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Yeah, I thought, I thought that it was a little short in the span for this duck race item or duck race. I don't know what you want to call it, challenge, I guess. It seemed like it'd be better if they started maybe earlier in the summer. It was short, and to me, being that short, I mean, I think you probably saw the photo. I had my duck, and I really couldn't put him out because I wanted to make sure he made it to an event. And around here, he probably wouldn't have gotten picked up if I'd have put him somewhere, because things move really slowly in East Texas. So I'm not sure how that would have worked out, but
we dropped one off at an event, our duck race, and I think it made it maybe to one cache. So,
okay.
I doubt that it made it to an event today, but that's kind of out of your control. So it's a fun idea by Groundspeak, but at the same time, you're not really in control of any of it. So.
Yeah, and neat idea. I'm not sure, like we talked about. I don't know. The other item was for the past few weeks we've had Mission GC going on. Now I like the idea of that. I don't know. Again, it kind of I don't forgot. It was fine. I think the duck race again. I think would have been better if it had been over a different time. But the Mission GC, I like. Um, I'm not really good at puzzles, so it takes me a lot longer to get them done. I don't know. How about you? Did you have any trouble with the first couple?
No, we've done the first couple, and I won't give a spoiler for the last one either. But
Right.
we do a good number of puzzles, but I think both of the puzzles that they had, we've kind of seen similar puzzles just out in the field too. So that kind of was an advantage. We got lucky with that. So
Yeah. The first one was really neat. That one took me. I've got it right here too. And I scratched everything out, but remember that one? That was our first one. The problem with this that with me in puzzles, the problem with this is I get confused by everything. So like I'm looking up what Cascadia means and what bluegrass. I'm trying to tie how does bluegrass tie into evergreen and Peachtree, and I'm all over the map, instead of so it's I joked about with this one that and I'm showing the little picture for those that are on audio only. The problem with this one that I ran into was what it reminds me of my first few classes, my freshman year in college, when the professor, no matter what he said, I wrote it down because I wasn't sure what was going on. So, I finally I got a few hints and I was off and running, but I guess that's me. Go ahead.
Did you use the hints that they gave you?
I did. And I actually asked someone else one for a little additional hint, and once I got that, it made a little more sense because I was able to kind of not get distracted maybe by all the extra stuff. But that's me in puzzles. I have a hard time with puzzles.
Sounds like you're making them harder than they have to be.
I am. I'm always making them a 5 instead of a 2 or something. So I need to do more puzzles just so I get in the habit of being able to kind of look through the fluff a little bit or the extras and find what they're really looking for. So that was a fun one. And then, the second one was more brute force, I guess, which was fun.
Yeah. Have you solved, without giving away what it is, have you solved the third one yet?
The third one I did. You know what's funny about that? And this was something that was inadvertently, when I woke up, I had like bunch of updates on Twitter, and so I'm like, oh, let's see what's going on Twitter, So I run over there because I'm getting all these personal, I'm getting included in what's going on, So I start reading them, which I shouldn't have, and in the discussions on Twitter, there was a hint that was basically gave it away.
Oh yeah.
So
that again, there's a puzzle right down the street from where we are with the same and the answer to that format. Without saying the answer. Yeah. So
yeah,
the same exact format that somebody's done right around the street. So I had seen it before from that. I knew immediately once I started doing it.
Did you? Okay. Yeah.
It was pretty obvious.
It's a neat idea though. I'm wondering, I don't know. And so I guess I'll never know on that one, but I don't know if I would have figured it out. I don't know. But once I got a hint, it was of course over at that point. The hint was a little too overwhelming, too much information, but that's okay. But we're Susan and I we've got our plan in place for this coming weekend. We're actually going to. I think I told you we were messaging back and forth this afternoon for something else,
right?
For another show, which I'll have you and Christy on later on, show 18. So you get 2, and you're gonna be the first person to have 2 because you're there to step up. But
that makes me famous, I think, right?
I think, yeah, yeah. But Yeah, we're dropping the youngest off for his last year of college, and I know you have Hallie, who's about to start college.
Yeah, we have a college visit coming up soon. She's a junior this year, so we got
Okay,
another
so
year after this one too. But
you're after that.
hard and heavy on the college visits now. So yeah.
Well, good. So yeah, we're dropping Nathan off at college, and then Susan and I are going to drive over to San Marcos, Texas. There's a new geo tour called it's in Kyle, so it's north of San Marcos and south of Austin, but looks cool. Some people have done it. So far I think the feedback's been really good on it. I'm looking forward to it. We love geo tours. I was telling you, this will be our third geo tour that will hopefully complete. But we did the Brenham tour, which is really cool. That's a first one we ever did. It was dynamite. It's in Brenham. It's the History of Texas geo tour. Then we drove to Pensacola, and when we were in Pensacola enjoying the beach and everything, we did the tour. It was in Pensacola, which was neat. I liked that one. It was different. So this one will be fun. Now, we didn't get a chance to do the one up in your neck of the woods, but I think I am required by the wife to go back up there. So we'll be up there. We loved it up there. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. We'll kind of do a little post GW4 Teener discussion here in a few minutes. So anyway, so that was the news. The third one will be out. Mission GC will be out at the end of this week for everybody who's non-premium. So you'll get the information then. So let's go into the show topic for tonight. And again, I'm very thankful, Jesse, that you were able to join for tonight. And let's talk a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about. We'll work our way chronological a little bit. Let's start back with how you first learned about geocaching.
Okay, I actually learned about it a lot earlier than we started. A buddy of mine told me about it at the time, and I was a detective for the police department where we lived, and we went out and looked, and I was kind of shocked that this game was supposedly going on in an area that I knew all about, and I knew nothing about it. So we went out and we found one. We didn't even have a smartphone at the time or a GPS. We just looked it up on the computer, and I knew the area pretty well. So it was in a parking lot. Obviously, you know where this is going, but I didn't know at the time. And we found it, and it was an LPC. We looked around for a while. Yeah, that's right. Yep. We found it, and then I went home and I told my wife and my daughter at the time, my oldest, and they were not interested at all. They said that sounds terrible. That doesn't sound like anything we want to do. Looking for trash in parking lots, that doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah.
So we didn't do it. So we didn't go geocaching. And then we moved a couple years later to Colorado, and there was an article that just came out, and I wish I knew which article it was now. I don't, but it came out, and it was talking about them and how they're on top of mountains and all this extreme stuff. And so we got interested again. We downloaded the free app, which was really terrible at the time.
Right.
And there was one like 200 feet away from us.
Oh, wow.
So we're like, oh, let's give this a try again. So we were bored. We didn't know the area. We didn't find it. So
oh, no.
We went over there. No, didn't find it. It ended up being like one of those magnetic key holders on a sign, which is very obvious. But we didn't know we had no idea what we're looking for.
Well, yeah, if you don't know what it is,
you never
know.
Really what got us hooked is we didn't find that one. And then they'd only showed you like I think 3 at the time, if you remember that intro app.
The free app, the intro app. Yeah.
So the next one, we went to go find the next one and couldn't find it either. So then we were really determined. So we were riding all over the city looking for one, and we finally found one. It was getting dark and it was on a bridge, and we finally found it. And I think that's what got us hooked, the fact that we couldn't find the first 2, even though they were really easy. So it was fun.
Instead of getting discouraged, you're like, all right, we're in this now. Let's get after it.
That's kind of how our family is. So if we would have found that first one that day that we tried, we never would have been into geocaching after that. We wouldn't have liked it again. So,
and amazing. Now, where and we could go on for hours on this question, but I love to hear some of the stories. Where has geocaching taken you?
Oh gosh, that is a good one. I know we've been just since we started geocaching. Uh, we've been to 30 something or almost.
Hmm.
I think I have to look at it, but around 30 states.
Wow, yeah,
Just recently
that's
went to
awesome.
Canada. We've been on a cruise, so we got to pick a couple countries up there, and um,
Now the cruise. This is interesting. I'm going to talk about
mhm.
a cruise next this coming Sunday with Velena Mahar. Was that cruise specifically for geocaching, or did you incorporate geocaching into the cruise?
We incorporated geocaching into the
Okay.
cruise,
Okay.
and there was the three normal ports that you would hit on a regular cruise, and this is before we knew much about events and stuff. So we went and in two of the three places we were able to find a geocache while we were out in town. We didn't have
Okay.
enough time in the other one, but so it was neat, and we found some other geocachers on the boat too. But no, there was not. It was just a regular cruise.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. I'd like to go. Well, Slinky Mom wants me to go on a cruise just to go on a cruise, but I've thought about the Land Sharks, which I'm going to talk to. They do a geocaching cruise. That'd be cool because that's like,
That would be.
yeah, because you're like dedicated, like they're like really help you set up for caching while you're cruising. So very cool. Now you've been to a lot of being in Colorado. You've got a huge advantage over so many people. I mean, you can go to unbelievable. I mean, we had an incredible time in Colorado back in July. Boy, it's amazing how time flies. So where else? What are some things in Colorado that come to mind as far as geocaching for you? I know there's a
Well,
lot, but
oh yeah, there is, and I kind of geocaching for me personally. We geocache as a family a lot, but I go out on my own some too, and just the hikes that you can do here. 30 minutes from our front door, and we're in the mountains. We're in the Rocky Mountains, and there's caches all throughout that area, obviously.
right.
And we've been to ones that you have to camp in your Jeep the night before, start at 4 o'clock in the morning, and hike 8 to 12 hours, and it's just great. And you're
That
in
is
just
awesome.
the most beautiful country you can imagine. So, and
Oh,
that's fine for me. Just doing that whole weekend just to find one cache I'm perfectly happy with that. So it's
yeah,
great.
that is hard for some people to imagine, but it's wonderful though. Like you said, um, to get to the top and find. Obviously, they're usually pretty when you're in that kind of terrain. I'm thinking that getting to the cache is well, obviously an adventure, but getting to it is finding it's probably not necessarily that hard, or I guess it depends, doesn't it?
It depends. We did an event, a hiking event at one. I think it was in December a couple years ago, and there was a dozen or so people that were going to show up like a standard hiking event. And as the time grew closer, like here in Colorado, it always is, the weather got worse and worse. It ended up being about 13 degrees that day, and
Wow.
it
Hmm.
snowed the whole time. So by the time we got to the start of the hike, there's only three of us there. So we hiked,
Okay.
and the goal was there was a goal at the end of it, at the top of this mountain, to hike up and find this cache, as part of the hike. And we got all the way up there after about a 4 hour hike, never found the cache. So
Oh wow.
we spent all day looking for this cache and couldn't find it. The snow was just too deep by the time we got to the top. So,
Oh
which
my.
is
Now,
always a
mhm.
possibility here that there's snow at the top. We saw snow this weekend. So
Wow. Now on that particular one, was it actually there and it was just so hard to find because of all the snow?
it was. We even confirmed with the owner that was there before we left. And
Okay.
it was absolutely, ammo can hidden up in a wilderness area. And just, when you get up there and the conditions were so bad, you just couldn't get to it. But
Hmm.
it's just part of the game, I guess. You can't find them all, and we'll eventually get back out there in another group hike to find it. But that day it was just a sad face for us. So
Oh yeah, but fun just to go out and I know I know that you had a great time. I know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's interesting, I think some people don't realize, and something I didn't realize till we went this last July, was there are some, and some of yours, that are where I goes that aren't these aren't these aren't your father's where I goes. They can be tough, which is fun. I like that idea. Talk a little bit about some of the where I goes that you, and I've got one where I go, so I'm sort of in the where I go family in a sense, and
Yeah.
I've done where I goes, and I really encourage everyone. I know, and what's funny is we were talking at the duck event we had, and somebody there was just bashing where I goes, and I didn't really have the time to kind of defend where I goes at this point with him. I was like, I'll just let it go, but. Tell us a little bit about the where I goes you've set up and kind of why where I goes mean what they do to you.
Well, I do. I love where I goes. But to be honest, probably every bad thing that they were saying about where I goes is true also, because the builder is terrible. So if you actually get into building a where I go, it is just a terrible program. And I know somebody in Groundspeak is probably cringing when they hear stuff like that, but it's terrible and they know it is. So hopefully they'll eventually build it up. And there's some people at Groundspeak that are pretty big fans of it, and I think they're going to have a web-based builder eventually. That's my guess.
Yeah.
But for right now, it's clunky. It's hard to build, but it's so robust in what it can do.
Now I use the third party one, the Fox. Oh gosh,
yeah, the online one by Ground Fox.
Yes, by Ground Fox.
Yeah, it's good, and he's and we've chatted with him a little bit, and he's tried to get a lot of that stuff built in there, but he's only been able to get some of the functions built in. So it'll do a basic thing, but it won't get everything yet. And I know he's had some troubles trying to get that going. He's pretty passionate about where I goes too. I like them, and I've slowly learned how to build them. I'm a Mac guy. It's a PC program.
Right.
So already there's a problem. I have to dig one out of the closet just to make it work. But I like them a lot because we don't have virtuals anymore. So
Right.
if you want to put a container in a really good place, but it's off limits, you can offset that container, but you can still walk through all the virtual parts where you wanted it. And you can set them up for nighttime and, audio and pictures and other things like that, and a lot more interactive experience along the way. So they're fun.
Yeah, there's some things I think people don't realize that you can do with where I goes. I've done very simple ones, which is fine because I'm just trying to get my feet wet in the process. But I've read about somebody sent me and I need to go back and I haven't had a chance to do it, but they sent me for me to beta. Not I mean it's out there, but for me to do it just so I could learn it, which is a reverse where I go. And I know you're familiar with reverse where I go. What all tell us a little bit about reverse where I goes real quick.
So the reverse where I go, and there's a couple different versions. I built one for somebody here locally, and we have one of the same ones that you're talking about. Shows the distance to the cache each time you push a button or do some action within it. I built one for a guy in a city just south of us here, and you have to answer a question on Colorado trivia, and if you get it right, it shows you your distance, and you move, move closer. Cool. Distance or bearing, it's usually how they are, which direction it is. And if it's set in the boundaries of like a park, you can figure it out, So you're a mile away, now you're half a mile away, that kind of thing. Pretty neat concept. And, you can add pretty much whatever else you want into it. But the neat thing about the where I go, just like the one that beta that you've got, is if you've got somebody that builds them, you can send that to somebody else and they can put it in their area. So they can make it how they want their own and everything else. And I've done that for several people because they don't want to mess with the builder, but they do want to where I go for their area. So we've built them for people in all over the United States and in South Africa and Canada and Australia and a couple other places like that. So they don't want to get into it, but they'd really like to have one for their area. So we save them a little bit of time.
Now I've heard about one, and I don't know if you have now. How many? Because you have how many where it goes? Do you think
I don't know.
20 or 30?
Active ones. I don't really have that many active ones. I've built
okay.
a lot for a lot of people,
Okay.
but we don't generally have that many active ones because I want to be able to maintain every cache that I have. So, yeah, I don't think maybe a dozen or so that we actually have active right now that are under our account. We've built dozens and dozens for other people, but we don't have that many right now for us.
Okay. Have you heard of one, and I don't know how this would work. It's an invisible maze.
Yeah, there's several set up like that because you can set up like geolocation type boundaries inside them. So you can, it's pretty robust. The program is, it's hard to build, but pretty robust as far as what you can do. You can do the only thing that I haven't seen a way to do is add video. So there's no video capability for it, but audio, pictures, locations, timing, all that other stuff you can add in there, and choose your own adventure type things. So they're a lot of fun. We one, and you were kind of alluding to earlier, one that we built was a where ago that you have to hike a couple 14ers.
Yes.
So the stages are at the top of 14ers instead of in a parking lot. So those are a lot more fun. But it's Colorado. What do you expect, right?
That's a lot different than a parking lot because we're talking 14,000 feet. Now, on the two 14ers, is one of them at least Pikes Peak?
Nope. No, you have to hike to them. Yeah, no, you can't drop.
Darn it.
Now, in fairness, they're not very hard 14ers. They're not the easiest one, but they're not the hardest ones either. So you can hike them in one day, which we did, and I hiked them with a group, and then find the cache after that. So you can do it all in one day. So you don't have to hike and then do another hike another day. So
that's something I need to do. Well, I'm as you got to see, I am in better shape now. I'm 100 pounds less. So I think I can get out into the wilderness a little easier. I didn't have any trouble this on the Denver trip or the Colorado trip. Slinky Mom and I did go to Rocky Mountain National Park a couple times, and we drove through and we hiked some. I would like to have hiked a little more, but we tried to pack. So there was so much packed into that week. We need to come back, but I did okay. I'm doing better getting out for longer hikes, and so that's good. So I encourage everyone if they can to well, we have an interloper who was just appeared on the show here. Anyway, yeah. So I'm doing better on the getting out and doing more hiking, but well,
that's good. You got to take it slow and be careful, as we can all get injured out there. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, speaking of being injured, which I'm going to do to him soon, which I can't because he's all way up in Washington. Chris, are you on board now, or can you hear me?
Well, Gary, I can hear you just fine. Let me log into my computer, and we'll get much better audio.
Okay, that sounds great. We'll catch up with you in a little bit. So, all right. So, Jesse, talk a little bit about your what you did this. Let's see. Let's do this weekend. What all did you complete? Because I saw the photo, but I want to hear about it.
So we actually didn't go out and get a lot of caches, and kind of, like we talked about before, how do you stay interested in things like that? We're focusing on certain caches. So it wasn't a caching weekend; it was our anniversary weekend.
Right.
And Christy, who you've met, my wife, she does all the planning in our family. If I have to plan it, we're going to be in bad shape. It's no good. She found us a great hotel in this in Georgetown, which is a little mountain town in Colorado, and we were kind of looking at 3 milestones for this weekend, like I mentioned on Twitter or whatever. But it was our 18th anniversary, so we wanted to have a good, nice weekend. Yay. We also just happened to notice. Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
We also just happened to notice that we were about to hit 4,500 caches. So because we we're not big on paying attention to the milestones until they get to the 1,000, and
Yeah.
we haven't hit that many of those, so we're only right over 4,000. So, but 4,500 is kind of a milestone too. So
yeah, very cool.
We
you were that close to it probably, so you're like, hey, well,
yeah, we're only a couple of away from it. So we looked around and found out what was close by, and she had never hiked a 14er, so she wanted to go hike a 14er, and Mount Bierstadt was close by. It was only like 10 miles away from where we were going to stay. So there just happened to be a Wherigo there. Woohoo!
Oh,
so
yay!
I was very happy. So she had me hooked already, and this is one of those Colorado Wherigos where you hike up to a 14er, find a bench, get some information off of there, and then hike back down and go close by and find the actual container. So it made for a great weekend. The whole weekend we got a Wherigo, we got a couple milestones, and a benchmark if anybody likes those.
Oh yeah,
and stayed in a nice little town we had never visited before. So it was a really good weekend, but it was all about, as far as the geocaching side, it was really only about one cache. It wasn't about going and clearing out the whole town. And there were several in this little bitty town of population, probably only 400 people or something in this small town. Right. There were several caches there that people had dropped, and we intentionally didn't go clear out the town because we want to go back there in the future. So we only got, I think, maybe one at the entrance to the town or whatever, and that makes it a lot more fun than rushing around all weekend and making everything about geocaching. We had a great weekend, got a great geocache, and still, got to have fun. So it was good. That's a good way to focus.
Yeah, and what a great. This is something that Slinky Mom and I love to do, which you and I are kind of in a great situation because we have wives who not only just tolerate geocaching, they love to go geocaching, so that really helps. And so we love to travel, go. In your case, it was a combination weekend, just time away, and get a chance to have that anniversary time, but also pick up a cache and sort of plan and do some hiking because I know you guys love it, and I need to do a lot more around here. Though there's a lot of hiking, but it's horizontal. There's not a lot of vertical hiking in East Texas, but anyway, we'll see. Someone who I think did some vertical hiking has joined us for tonight. And that would be the bad cop. Chris, is that true?
That is true, Mr. Slinkard. Thank you so much. And what do I owe you? Because, well, anyway.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, no, we'll
work out the
even after the show. Yeah,
that's no problem. Now I heard. Now, did you do your vertical hike during the Going Ape event?
Well, yes, there was some verticality to it. Just like Memfis Mafia here was saying, this event that I went to yesterday is really about one cache, and that's beautiful. It really is. If I give a little history, back in 2001, Geocaching and Universal Studios got together to do the Planet of the Apes series, or the Project Ape. That's the alternate primate evolution.
Yes, A.P.E. Yes.
Yes, exactly. And I believe there were 15 missions around the world.
Yes, that is correct. Some of them are a little weirder than others.
Exactly. Well, right here in Washington State, we had mission number 9, Tunnel of Light.
Yes.
And the idea was you walk through a tunnel. Now, this happened to be a rail tunnel that had been converted to a trail, Rails to Trails project.
It's a long tunnel. It's over 2 miles.
Exactly. It's 2.25 miles.
Wow.
And walking from one end to the other, there's a slight turn in it. So if you start at the eastern end, you come across that turn quickly, and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But it's amazing, as you walk, that light isn't getting brighter and bigger. It's a long way down there.
Wow. Now, you've done most of the caches, obviously, there, because you've gone to the Project 8 Mega several times?
Several times, yeah.
Okay.
And
that original it was sort of the second to the last ape cache that finally went archived. Now, you've also probably done the replacement that they put in, the tribute.
The tribute cache, exactly.
Okay.
So Wits End and I actually made the hike up. The tunnel was closed, so we had to hike up that vertical slope.
Yeah, because you said there was one at the top you hadn't done before.
And that was, well, we did that for our 500th cache several years ago.
Oh, okay. I thought there was one up there that you hadn't done.
Well, there was. So there was one called Checking for Leaks on the Roof of My Cave. And
cool name.
Yeah, I talked to people about it and said, that's the one I want to do this weekend. They said, oh, you could drive to it. Nearly. I'm like, well, okay. So, we went and did the mega event. There were lab caches to do. There were 5 lab caches there.
Yes. I actually have them in the, and I'll put them in the show notes, but I pulled them up. And now what did I do with them?
I have them here as well.
That's okay. All right. So
anyway, the lab caches were fun.
They look good. One of them was the ape itself.
Yeah, well, there was a metal statue of an ape, a cutout.
Right.
The ape for the Project Ape is kind of funky. It kind of looks like it's, I don't know, dancing with Michael Jackson or moonwalking. We can't quite figure out what he's doing. Yeah.
He's kind of like this. Hey, hang on. Let me put me on me here. More me. It's like this. He's kind of like this weird kind of thing. Okay, that's enough of that. So
the cache that I wanted to do, the looking for leaks on the roof of my cave, we drove around. Of course, navigation doesn't work really well up there. It tried to take us down roads that didn't exist.
Mm.
So, we kept pushing our way up to where we thought it should be, and pretty soon navigation agreed with us. Oh, good. You're on that road. Good. I'm glad you got there. Thanks a lot, Siri.
That's awesome. Way to go, Siri.
And there was one spot, we looked at it and we go, this car that we're in doesn't have good ground clearance. There's no way we're making it. So it's a quarter of a mile. It's not a huge hike.
Sure. So now you stop and hike it
stop and walk. And as we're getting out of the car, another cacher comes by in a huge Ford Super Duty pickup.
Oh, okay. He wasn't one of those
Jeep
Jeep guys, because those Jeep guys.
Hey now.
Sorry, Jesse.
Did we say that out loud?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a Jeep. It was a Ford. And he looked at that and he goes, "Well, can I make it without scratching my paint?" I don't know. It was pretty narrow, pretty bumpy. And he goes, "I'm going to try." And he goes a bit and he stops and gets out and he says, "Well, that's where the cache must be." And we looked and go, "No, it's still beyond that." He stopped. He determined that. Well, no, it started to go downhill and he would have to back up. There's no place to turn around.
Oh, okay.
And thought, better part of valor. I'll stop here. And we walked in, found the cache together. And
cool.
It's a good thing he made it out. He got towards the top and had a little trouble. We're thinking, we got a little Hyundai. Good luck. We're not pulling you out.
Right.
But he made it anyway.
So he had the vehicle for it, but he didn't really have the driving skills for it.
I don't think that Super Duty was 4-wheel drive, or didn't put it in 4-wheel drive. He was just spinning the back tires, backing up.
Oh, okay.
And backing up in a pickup, you don't have a lot of weight over the tires. So, you don't always get the best traction to climb up a rocky trail slightly uphill.
That's why you should have a Jeep, right, Jesse?
That's right. A Jeep would have made it with no problem.
Yeah.
What's funny, and I think we talked about this when we were in Denver, Jesse, but there are a lot of folks, a lot of geocachers that get out. I know you do this too, right? Where you get out with other Jeep people, Jeep fans, and go geocaching together in Jeeps.
Yeah, we actually went out with a group either last weekend, the Mission GC, to find the multi. Was that last weekend, I think? We all went out and found one. So a group of us in a couple of Jeeps went out to some. You had to have higher clearance vehicles for it, and went out on some trails. And you pretty much can only get to those caches if you have an off-road vehicle. So there's a lot of people. It's easy to find somebody in this area that has a Jeep. Jeeping's pretty big up here in Colorado. So
right. Well, and also, I mean, where you are, Chris, I mean, you're no stranger to being in the high country on that area. So I guess, do you know of people in your area that also are like Jeep enthusiasts that go geocaching?
Oh, definitely. It's a very popular thing. I personally don't own one, so don't, group me in in those people that go out jeeping for caching. That's not me. But
right.
But that's
But you're a
I have
fan
a 7-minute
of
commute back and forth. I just need something little.
Now, do you are you someone who does get out a lot into the high country, or do you feel like you do more in between country kind of?
I probably do more urban caching than I do, out in the high country. I only go out a couple of times a year, setting goals like this one. And in fact, let me toss out a GC number for that cache that I found this weekend.
Yeah, sure.
GC 32 Zulu Victor 1.
GC
32 Zulu Victor 1.
Okay.
And
well
so
worth doing.
Yeah, it was good. It's got 19 favorite points. It's not a huge favorite, but it was one of those that I'd found caches on this side of it and that side of it through the tunnel, but not on top. So it was one of those that that was the thing I was going to go out and do. There are caches all around there. At the beginning of this mega event, or actually technically before it starts, there's always a group that goes up and does the hike to GCD. The catchy name of this cache is called Geocache. And
well, all the old ones, it seems like, have this name of Geocache. I need to do one just for the heck of it. People go, "Wow, that's got to be an old one. It just has the name Geocache."
Exactly. And it's a hike up there. It nearly killed me, but I did it. And they do it like 4 hours. The start is 4 hours before the mega event, so it gives you time to get up there, find it, come back down, and still attend the mega event. We did it last year, and it was a blast. Cool. So I thought, we've got, while we're out here, let's go do another one. There's another cache nearby that's called Ketchulus Crossing. Now, I'm pretty sure I've told you about this one. It's normally a Terrain 5 cache, except in the summer, it's in the middle of a reservoir, and the reservoir is dry, so you can walk out to it.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's almost the opposite of what some people have, which is a frozen lake.
Right.
When I think Derek, he did a video of where they did a Terrain 5 because there was no way to get out to this little island except they walked it when it was frozen. So this is sort of the opposite. So so you've done that one before. Or did you do that? You did that one
last year. Did it last year. So while you're going out to this mega event, which typically follows the block party, there was no block party this year, so they moved it up to Saturday. And I don't know the numbers. I'm guessing there was more than 500 people there. So if they're going to continue on with this series, I hope they do. It will retain its mega event status.
Okay.
But that's a very popular one. That one is GC Papa Charlie Beta. I'm sorry, Papa Charlie Beta Delta. Yeah, I was right.
Okay. So fairly old.
Yeah, fairly old. 134 favorite points.
Oh, neat.
So far more popular. That's the one that if you listen to my podcast, Caching in the Northwest, we often riff on Land Monkey for driving into the middle of a lake.
Oh, did he really? I don't remember that.
Yeah, he drove into the middle of the lake. Now, it was dry, but, you look at the GPS, we're driving on the water.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay, I got you.
So that's how we, give him heartache for driving into the middle of a lake to get a geocache.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well,
he also did a video on that one if you're interested. I'll have to look
okay,
it up.
yeah. I'll go check that out. So there was some when we were at and I've talked about this a little bit before, and actually I'm going to end up talking about it a little bit next week. But we had some guesses going on during the end of Woodstock that Joshua, the geocaching vlogger, he thought that the block party went away in preparation for a possibility of having Woodstock there, and I still think that's a possibility. I do know that they're wanting to maybe have people branch out, but I still think they can branch out and still have a mega, or have Woodstock up in that area. Maybe Portland would be better. I don't know. But you got next year's is in North Carolina, so I'm wondering if they want to bounce back somewhere in the West. Oh, well, Jesse might know. Jesse was on the committee for 14. He probably knows what 16 is. Do you know what 16 is, Jesse?
No, and I'd probably be shot if I told anyway, if I didn't. I have no idea, but I will be at the next one, though. I will be at 15.
Oh, good. Well, I will be there too. So we'll definitely get together. And it's funny. We were at Casa Bonita. How about that for a place? Let me see. I think I got here's the path tag for it. See if I can get it to show up. Oh, there it is, Chris. We talked about it.
I'm jealous. I've heard the stories on this.
So we're at Casa Bonita, and we had a little group of folks, and Christy was not back yet, but Hallie was there, and I love your daughter, Jessie. She is a fun young lady who is just. I know that she's going to be, off to college next year. So you got one more year. It's her junior year this year.
Junior year this year. So we got her for about a year, year and a half, 2 years left. Yeah. So. Yeah,
before she heads off. Well, anyways, but it was fun to talk with her and you and the other folks there during that. But I did hit them up, Chris. I said. So where's the next one going to be? And they're like, yeah, we're not telling you anything.
From what I understand, I have several friends that are also on the committee. They don't really know that far ahead of time. They may know, a couple of months, but, a year later, no. And, yeah, they're sworn to secrecy. It's part of the Illuminati or something like that.
Yeah. This was, a few days before 14 or so, but it was fun to at least ask. Just to
now he would have known a few days before 14er.
Yeah. Which
knowing and telling are two different things, though.
Exactly right. And he's still alive, so he kept his mouth shut.
That's right.
He didn't say, but it was fun asking just because I knew I'd get a fun reaction from him. But yeah, we've got it planned. I mean, we've got reservations. I actually grabbed 2 reservations. I got one in Waynesville and one in Asheville. I probably won't keep the Asheville one. I think I'm actually staying in Waynesville. It's not. We're going to stay at a bed and breakfast. That's our plan. I don't know about where you guys are going to be, but what's that?
Don't let it go.
Don't let the bed and breakfast go, or the Asheville one.
Either one. You got to keep both of them, and then 2-3 weeks before the event. Then you start auctioning it off. I've got a reservation. And I'm telling you, you can pay for your entire trip. It's kind of like a Super Bowl ticket. Once you've got that reservation, it's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, what's funny is I had 2 for Denver. Ended up keeping one. I had one. Another friend of mine couldn't go, and I gave up on it. But you're right. I probably should have kept the other one. But yeah, I got 2 for now. But I know I'm not gonna. I think we're gonna stay.
Is this why I can't get reservations anywher nearby?
No,
you've gone and bought up all the low price hotels nearby.
Well, the other one doesn't cost me anything until I actually stay there. So that's the other problem with that one. So I actually put some money down on the Waynesville one, but well. I can always get my money back on that if we do the switch. But anyway, enough about Woodstock. Enough of that. So let's. I want to ask both you guys something because you both been around the block a while. I'm not saying y'all are
party.
Like a block party. I'm not saying you're old or anything, but I'll start with Jesse because you just found 4,500. 4,500 geocaches, and only a few of them are lamppost caches. So, what what would you say to someone who maybe isn't to that point, but they've gotten to a point, whatever number it happens to be, and they're like, I've lost interest. What do you say to somebody like that?
Well, for us, and we geocache as a family, so we have different interests too. But we just hit 5 years. We hit it at Woodstock was our 5 years of geocaching. So we've been caching a few years, not as many as a lot of other people. But really, what we did for the first 5 years was play around with all the different types and different types of caching and see what we really liked best. And for us, really, geocaching is right there equal with travel. We love to travel. So that's where a lot of our caching has come from, is when we go and travel somewhere. Of course, I have to pick up a Where I Go wherever we travel, even though the rest of the family doesn't like them as much. And my wife likes all the history stuff, and she's just now 9, so for her, LPCs are still just the neatest thing that she can go and find one all on her own in a parking lot. So she loves that, and so we all have our own little sections that we like. So
for your youngest daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Right, is 9, and I didn't get to meet her. She was off visiting the grandparents, so but I would love to have met her. She looks like a doll. But I like the fact, it's neat that your whole family still loves to geocache. So
it is. It's fun for us. She's 9, and actually, when she turned 9, she hosted her own event, her own birthday party event for local geocachers, and made their own prizes for the raffle. Not raffle, she just gave it away, but she made a handmade bag with her grandmother it's trackable and everything, and stood up on the chair and did the little speech and everything, and awesome. I was nowhere near that brave when I was 9. It was proud daddy moment, She had 15 people showed up, and it was early in the morning at a donut shop. It was just fun because she wanted a whole weekend of fun stuff, and she decided she wanted to host her own event, so she sure did. It was great. It was a lot of fun to watch as a dad. So.
Oh, that is awesome. I'm gonna leave mine to the end. Let me stop for there. Go ahead and keep going, Jesse, and then we'll go over to ask Chris some stuff. Go ahead.
Well, I guess settling in now is just as you've passed certain milestones or certain amounts of time, you don't want it to get stale, so you have to find out what you really like. And for me, and we've talked about this when you were out in Denver, but it's finding that challenge. So I actually have the next 7 caches I want to find picked out, but they're probably going to take me a couple years to get to because they're all over the country. So it's having something to look forward to, and that really exciting, and that's much more fun for me than driving down the road and getting 100 this weekend. So we all have our things that interest us, and you just have to find out what that is because the game is so varied. There's so much to do for everybody. So that's why it's such a great sport, hobby, obsession, whatever you want to call it. It's great because you can find what you like to do in it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So Chris, you're old.
I'm very old.
No, you're not. You're not that old.
I have a birthday next week, and it's a round number.
And what's interesting is, and somebody mentioned, Susan's telling me what's in the chat room because I can't see the chat room, which is a whole different discussion about the mess that's currently going on with Google Hangouts and YouTube and all that. But somebody asked if you're a real cop.
I am not a real cop. However, I do play one in IT.
Oh, is that how you got this?
That's how I got it, yeah.
Okay.
I'll let a little something slide here, Gary, just between you and me.
Okay. Nobody's listening.
Back when I started geocaching, bad cop, that was funny. right? With everything going on with the police right now,
I know.
it's no longer funny.
I thought about that. I thought about if you're going to change your geocaching
I'm
name.
going to change it on my birthday coming up here.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I've got a week until my birthday. I've already gotten the name picked out, so I'm not telling you what it is, but I'm going to tell you it's going to change. Simply because I really do appreciate everything the police does for the community.
Oh, absolutely, I do too.
And I'm a big supporter. And this, while it used to be funny, it's no longer funny, and I need to reflect that. So
Chris,
yes.
From a retired law enforcement officer, I just wanted to say thank you. So I really appreciate what you're saying. I just retired after 19 years, so it is a hard time in the nation right now. So I thank you for even thinking about that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate everything you've done to keep us safe.
We do, yeah.
I can't imagine being a police officer right now in America. Every time I see a police officer somewhere, I walk up to them and I shake their hand and I say, thank you for what you do to keep me and my family safe. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
One officer looked down at my hand, looked up at me, and he says, thank you. I don't normally get all 5 fingers.
Oh.
So,
wow.
It's a big thing with me. So,
me too. I was gonna say, me too. And I was gonna, because we mentioned we have with Jesse being on, being former police officer. That is a neat. So I've got the good cop and the bad cop tonight.
There you go.
Perfect.
That's funny.
The name came about because I work right next to Wits End. And
which is an incredible that you survived that anyway.
Exactly. That's a whole nother story, and therapy seems to be working.
Okay, good.
However, we run the entire IT department, and people will tend to come in and say, "Hey, can we?" And I go, "No."
But you haven't heard what I will say yet.
It doesn't matter. No. And a couple of times, we get requests, and he goes, "You got to go be bad cop on this one." Okay.
Okay. Like, I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll do that. And, the name kind of stuck.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's okay. Well, anyway, back to what we were talking about. How do you stay, because you do 2 podcasts, and you geocache once in a while.
If I have to.
I'm just kidding.
I'm a geocaching podcaster. I'm not actually allowed to go out and find caches on a regular basis.
No, that's not true. But what do you do to kind of, or what's your thoughts on people who've been around geocaching for a while?
To keep it fresh?
Yeah, how do you keep it that way?
Just this last year, I decided I was going to fill out my finds calendar. I've been geocaching since 2004, right? You would think in 12 years I would have managed just to accidentally find a cache on every day of the year, and that wasn't the. So I made a concerted effort, and you know what? I actually didn't like it.
Oh, doing that? Mm-hmm.
Doing that, yeah. I would go out caching, going, I can only find one today, because I need to keep the caches near me fresh, just in case I'm coming home going, oh, stink. Today's the day I need to go find a cache. So when I found my last one, in fact, they threw an event for me.
Yeah, you just finished it.
Yeah, I finished it actually last week.
Yeah, so you're
on the 13th. Yeah, they threw it. They didn't know they threw an event for me, but they did, and I went to an event, and it's a lot of fun. So now I got to think, okay, what's my next challenge? One of the things also I like to do in this area is hike. We've got some great old caches here in Washington State, and most of them are, it seems 10,000 feet up a mountain. So it's, I look at it and go, okay, I'll do a couple of those a summer. I'm not going to do one every weekend. I'm number one, I'm too busy for that. Number two, I don't quite have the shape to. Well, I suppose if I did every weekend, I'd be in shape and it wouldn't be an issue.
See, there you go.
But finding some of those old caches, and you come up and you go, well, this is the cache. It's barely hidden. But you as you're walking up there, you're going, wow. How come more people aren't out here seeing this? Some of the spectacular views. I remember one that was just basically a rest stop on the road, but it took you down a path, and you came up to this lake surrounded by mountains that was just like a mirror. And I'm thinking, wow, why aren't more people here? Why aren't more people seeing this? Well, geocaching brings you to spots like that. And it's
it really
going
does.
to there, I get the batteries recharged. It's like, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's something I think that we try when we're talking to people about, what they'll ask, why do you keep mentioning geocaching? What is the deal? And that really is one of the ones, is that if I wasn't geocaching, I would not have found, and I can list off a lot of things. There was one, and Jesse knows about this one. It's in Rocky Mountain National Park. It's down one of the roads, and it's actually a virtual. Well, in Rocky Mountain National Park, it's either virtuals, Where I Goes, or Earth Caches, which is fun. We did a whole day when we were there. Never found a container and had a time of our lives finding Earth Caches, and found one of Jesse's Earth Caches, which hopefully he still gives me credit for. I think I kind of messed that one up a little bit. But
that was actually on the Geo Tour too. So
it was on the Geo Tour, which
Yeah.
I need to go back and finish. I didn't get to finish the Geo Tour, so we've got another reason to go back, other than Garden of the Gods and Pikes Peak and all the places we missed that we need to go back. But this one little virtual, just a little lone virtual, and what you do is you pull off side of the road, and you actually hike back under the roadway, and you are presented with a spectacular scene of water. It's a rapids area, and I won't give away but the hint is in a sign down there, and that's what the virtual asks you, is what is on that sign. Well, so you have to go to the sign and look at the sign, and then of course you can answer it. But the virtual took us to unbelievable. I mean, you can't see it from the road. Most people, even if they're big fans of Rocky Mountain National Park, they don't know that it really is there. You don't know it. You can't see it really from the road. You roll over it and kind of move on to the next place. But that's one of those kind of things. And all three of us can mention places around that I think would really kind of jazz people to get involved in geocaching if they realized the unique places that you won't really either miss, you don't know are there, or they are really kind of a remote location that takes some time to get to, but yet when you get there, like you're saying, Chris, some place that you take an effort to get to, not necessarily doesn't have to necessarily be a real high terrain, but still just the views. I mean, I think that's something that, well, for me, there's a lot of things that have kept me doing this for 10 years, but one of them is definitely the places it takes you.
And you can also use it in a different way too. Geocaching can help you expand what you already are comfortable with. I've got my eyes set on a certain virtual in Tennessee, back where I came from, that you have to be a certified scuba diver to go do. Well, I'm not, but I've already gone and looked into lessons for it because I want to go after this one cache, and I want to do it right, and I want to get have the full experience. And I am terrified to go do it, but that's one of those things that I've always had on my list, but I've never done because I'm so claustrophobic. But
right.
I'm going to sign up for lessons, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to make the trip, and I'm going to go get that virtual. You have to dive down to get it. So,
oh, that's awesome.
It's something I've never done before, and I probably wouldn't have ever gotten the courage to do. But now that it's on my list, I've got to go do it.
Wow.
Jesse, there was a dive cache that was the closest unfound cache to me for years. And it annoyed me because I'm not a certified diver. I can't go get it. It's like, I'm fine. I'm putting this on an ignore list because it's the closest one, and I can't get it.
So you never went after it?
I didn't, no.
Oh.
And in fact, I had read some of the logs not too long ago, and they often do training out there with new divers. And a geocacher was bold enough to say, hey, there's a box down there. Could you find it and bring it up to me so I can sign it and then return it? And they were like, yes, that's great. We'll go do that. Oh, really?
I would have trouble
Didn't I
signing
think
that.
of that.
I would have trouble signing that log. I think I'd feel like I was cheating a little bit for that one. But
Yeah.
I guess everybody plays differently. So if
Exactly,
the temptation would be there as well. So
I thought that was brilliant though to ask. I can't go do it. Would you go do it for me?
Clever.
And bring it up. I'll sign the physical log and send it down. I agree with you. I don't know if I would have done it, but I thought that was a good solution.
Hey, it's creative, which is what this game is filled with, creative people. So I guess you got to give them points for that one.
Yes. Well, guys, I'm going to go into a couple of the other options. Feel free to chime in as I mention them. I have a new segment called Mega Event News, and it is sponsored by IB Geocaching Supplies, the best site for geocoins, cache containers, and much more can be found at ibgeocaching.com. And I've highlighted a couple, and you guys definitely chime in on these. I've got the list. They'll be in the show notes. And each week I'm going to highlight different ones, but in the show notes I'm going to give you sort of a larger list. But just for time, I can't really mention every one of them. But I do want to point out that there's an event coming up, and I'm going to guess that Jesse's going to be going to this one.
Probably.
It's in a few days, and it is the 5th annual International Earth Cache event in Colorado, GC6 GF5D. And maybe have I misspoken? Jesse, are you going to that event?
Yes, but it's next month, so it's
is it 10? It's 9/24. I read that wrong.
Yeah. So it's 9/24. You've got it right in there, but it's
okay.
Yeah, September 24th.
We are in August. I need to. I get lost very very easily. Yes. So for everyone who wants to go, notice I left out all the August ones because I was trying to put in stuff that people could go to. So yes,
if
Gary,
you were here yesterday, you could have gone to.
I know I could have gone to. Yes, I didn't want to do that. Although we talked about the ape event, which was kind of cool. Of course, you can't go to that one now because it's over. But yeah, so now that event, where is that in Colorado? Because it doesn't really say.
It's in Denver. It's at the convention center, which hosts a lot of events, larger events when you come into Colorado. I don't really know much about it. This is the 5th annual one, and I've never been to the first 4. So it's put on by the Geological Society of America. So it's geocaching. It's a mega. But it's Earth Cache related, so the way I understand it is anybody can go to the event, and there's a small section outside, and then inside the event is all inside the convention center, but inside the event is the GSA's annual meeting, plus a lot of vendors and booths. So this is a little different than a mega from what I understand everybody expects to see. So there's a smaller thing outside, and then an inside thing where you pay to get into.
Okay.
So I'm sure it's a nominal fee. I'm sure it's something small to cover the cost of the convention center. But we'll see. I'll be there. It's a mega that close. Obviously, I have to go to it.
Yeah.
So, Jesse, do you have to answer a series of questions to log the event?
I hope it's easier to get in the event than publish an Earth Cache, because that's difficult. But
yeah, we talked about that.
I just published my first a couple of months ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you got it published?
Yeah, I got it published, yeah.
Oh, great.
It was in association with a Visit Rainier series. This is their 3rd series. They're doing 100 caches around Mount Rainier. So they've done 75. The next series is coming up soon. And I wanted to publish an Earth Cache. I found a great spot, started talking with some people, and they said, would you be willing to wait until the next series? Sure. And somebody from, I don't know, out of town drove through, slapped down an Earth Cache in the spot I wanted.
No way.
And left. I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Okay, so they found me another spot. They said, here, this is the spot we want you to do. Okay. So I, drove out there, took a look at it, and with some help, I think I did the majority of the work. But here's the questions I want to ask, and they said, no, those are going to be a little too, I don't know, difficult
tough,
or yeah. And since it's part of a series, I really kind of wanted to toss people a softball for the most part. Go to the place, read the sign. If you read the sign, you're going to get 3 out of the 4 questions. Then you have to extrapolate for the fourth.
Yeah, that's because like Jesse has that one that's on the GeoTour that's up there, talks about volcanoes. Which, you know what, Jesse? Not just because you're my buddy, but I really like that Earth cache. I know you're like, we've talked about this, but
Yeah.
I like that because I had no idea that. I assumed all of that area was all just upheaval, but apparently volcanoes were in Rocky Mountain National Park, so that was cool.
You can actually learn some stuff from Earth caches. Geology is not my favorite by any means. However, you can learn some things from them, so that's a pretty neat aspect of them, I think.
Yeah, very very much so. So, tell Lamb Monkey that we're all thumbs up to Earth caches. So, I'll
I
send him a
believe
note.
he's found more Earth caches than have ever been placed.
Probably. Well, I sent him a note one day that our northernmost cache is near Mount Rainier, and it's an Earth cache, and it's archived. And I'm thinking, how do you archive an Earth cache? I mean, give it to me. I'll take care of it. Because it's just answering. It's upholding. Anyway, I thought we could get it unarchived.
Yeah, that spot that I had chosen originally, and I told somebody about it, and they go, "There was an Earth cache there." I said, "There isn't now." And they looked up and they found the archived Earth cache and said, Here's all the work done for you. Why would you archive an Earth cache?
I don't understand.
The Earth hasn't changed. You don't have any maintenance.
Go
ahead.
If they don't answer, if the owner doesn't answer, they'll archive them. But so if I'm going to be honest, I'll tell them myself. That's the least number of finds for any type for us is Earth caches. We found the least of those out of any of the current types.
Right.
So I don't know if y'all will admit to that or not, but
I have to go look.
I don't have to look. I know it's terrible for us. We don't find that many of them at all. I don't know. We pass by them a lot. Yeah.
There aren't many around us. That's the other thing is we have to drive hours to get to one, and sometimes, there's we end up with we want to get a souvenir, and it's like, oh no! Please, not an Earth cache. Please, not an Earth cache. Please, no. We like doing them. It's just they're difficult. They're difficult for us to get to them. So anyway, all right. Well, we're kind of running late, so let me wrap this thing up. So anyway, in the show notes, there are other events, and I did it worldwide. So there's events in Slovakia and Germany and South Africa and France, all over. So if you're interested, go check out my list. Again, sponsored by ibgeocaching.com. Also, and we're going to skip the product review for tonight, but I do want to mention that my product review of the week, or most weeks, sponsored by Cachely. I'm wearing the shirt tonight. Cachely. Thank you. Yes, I agree with you. Cachely is the foremost geocaching app. It can be found at cach.ly. Each week, except for this week because we're running a little late. Anyway, coming soon. Next week, show number 12. Can you believe it, Chris and Jesse? I'm on show 12.
That's a great number for the Northwest, by the way. But go ahead.
It is, okay. Why is it a number?
We have a big thing out here for the Seahawks for the 12th man.
Oh, yeah. Well, I went to A&M, and by the way, I did read that you guys are, again, allowed.
Thank you.
You have the licensing has been approved again to use 12th man in Seattle.
I want to acknowledge that it wasn't our idea, but we do license it officially from Texas A&M.
From Texas A&M, and we happily do because you give us money.
And we do it better. Just saying.
Well, you do the pro version. I won't say better. Let's say you do the pro version and we do the college version, so okay. Everybody's happy. But next week I've got on Velena Mahar, and I'm again apologizing because I messed up her name on the show. It's a pre-recorded show for next weekend because Susan and I are going to be on a geo tour, so I will be publishing that next Sunday. But we talk about her. She's Butterfly Girl, and she was just on Geocaching podcast, by the way, so catch her on that. Go watch that episode. Geo Mega Road Trip Extravaganza. was a neat story to hear her talk about her trip, basically from Virginia to Denver to Geo Woodstock and back, and all the things she did along the way. Neat story. So that's next week. Week after that, Lucky 13 on September 4th. I've got West Virginia Tim is going to be on. We're going to talk Arduino, breadboards, and a new GeoTrail. Well, that'll be fun. Talking about his smart caches that are gadget caches. That'll be interesting to talk to Tim. Week after that, on the Geocache Talk number 14, I have on Nick Hubbard from Cachely, and we'll talk all things Cachely. And from what I understand, talking to Nick, and I'm pretty sure, Nick, if I mess this up, I'll do an auto correction on this later on. But he's planning to actually show off some of the Cachely on the show during the live show. Obviously not on the audio, but we'll discuss it on the enough so that audio listeners can get the idea. But on the live show on the YouTube, as long as YouTube's still working, we'll show off some of the Cachely better or finer points of Cachely for that week. But I don't know, Chris, how this whole thing is going to work with Hangouts on Air going away.
That's a mess.
Yeah.
YouTube Live is supposed to work, as well. I believe the Q&A isn't going to come over. There's something YouTube chat, but yeah, I'm scrambling for a solution just like you are.
Yeah, I mean, when I pulled it up tonight, I noticed it said group chat. It was very different looking, and I thought, ooh, we've got the YouTube connected in to the Google Hangout, and then of course I put a note to hey everyone, and of course nobody can see it probably except for us, and so Susan was sending me questions from the live chat going on because they're still chatting away, so she sent me some questions, and we kind of did a little bit of that way. But anyway, hopefully that'll be fixed. Anyway, well, guys, thank you so much. Jesse, thank you so much for helping me out. And Chris, yeah.
Love you, Gary.
No, I do. I appreciate you appreciate you joining, even if it's a little bit late. That's okay. We had a good time, and I loved the interaction with everybody tonight, and good talking points. I think we had a good time.
It was fun.
Thanks.
I enjoyed it.
Thanks, Chris. All right. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. So, Jesse and Chris, again, thank you for being on the show tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show. Email me your comments at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at geocachetalk and Facebook at facebook.com/geocachetalk. Show can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, as well as the Geocache Talk website. Tell your friends about the show. Ask them to subscribe so they too can hear the show on a weekly basis. And until next week, like the three of us said tonight, don't just talk about geocaching, go geocaching. Good night, everyone.